All right, everybody. Hey, today is April 30th, Thursday. And this is 20 Minutes with Bridgette, and I'm Bridgette Lynn Dolgoff. Yay! All right, so today, we're still working through the chakras. So today, the class, so I've still got to finish those up, and then they're going to go into release. Tomorrow is the last class, Monday through Friday. Next week, starting on the 5th, and there's a link on the main page, 20 Minutes with Bridgette, on my website, COE-LLC, and look for the page, not the blog. It'll be over under offerings, it should be at the top, and it'll have the new link for Tuesdays and Thursdays for 2 months. And then, I'm just kind of doing it based on information, but I'm starting to realize like I have a lot of information. So we'll do it Tuesdays and Thursdays for a while, and then we'll see how that goes. So that link is going to be good for 2 months to get on to the class live. And then the records are on Patreon, and you can see those on my website. I have a Patreon link at the bottom of the page. I also have a donation link for my ministry on the bottom of each page on COE-LLC. So donate, or get on Patreon and check out all of the library of classes that I'm doing, and donate something monthly to me, which would be really appreciative. Okay, so today I just really felt like we'll kind of finish down the chakra road as we go along, but I wanted to work on on letting go and around 3 parts of our physical body. And as an osteopath, traditional osteopath, these are areas that, people are always complaining about, right? Always having trouble with. And so let's go to the blog, because I mostly always do a blog with the video. And the blog, this might go a little bit longer than I'd hoped. So please stay with me, because I realized I probably should have halved it, but it's okay. Might be a 30 minutes. So I apologize for that. So we're going to go to screen sharing, and we're going to go to the blog. Okay, so this is the blog that we're looking at. So COE-LLC, 20 Minutes with Bridgette, April 30th, 2020, letting go. Ooh, and I have a new, I'm going to fix it. It's not as cool as I'd like it to be. I think I just like the font to be a little bit different, but it's not a cool thing. It's kind of how I feel about 20 Minutes with Bridgette. Anyway, it's a visual picture. So I'm going to change that a little bit, but yeah, so I have like advertising logo for the class now. So it's pretty exciting. I made an awesome one for the Carrying Stones and Digging Holes weekly online class. So excuse me, fantastic. Okay, so please donate so I can go grow food and farm. And so I've got a little blurb here. This is new. And then you can go ahead and this link. So you can find this link. You can go to this link to donate to my ministry. If you're going to do a huge donation, to be really helpful, I can give you a tax letter as a charity tax letter. So if you want to give a big donation, let me know. Contact me, consciousnessoфeconomics@gmail.com, or on the contact on the COE-LLC, and I can get you a tax charity letter, because I have official ministry with EIN number and everything. So if you're looking to donate to somebody, donate to me. Otherwise, you can use this link here, and there you go. All right. I really like this picture, because this is kind of like, what you're doing, you just need to let go. Let the stuff go. All right. The class is live, or it's recorded. And you can find the records on Patreon. Here's a link on my website. The Patreon page is Conscious of Economics, and here's the link for that if you want to go directly to the link. All right. Today we're going to explore the physical, letting go areas of the body. It is where people have the most pain that disables. These areas are joints of the jaw, thumbs, and hips. They are the areas where we are seesawed, one polarity or duality of another, not in balance. Usually when we have pain in one or more of these areas, we have been unbalanced for a long time on many levels, emotionally, mentally, physically, or energetically, which I replaced that with spiritually. Holding on, playing, and feeding one side or another. I sometimes see people shifting back and forth, missing the balance point. So what I'm saying is the polarity and duality, you know, like you have a seesaw, right? And the seesaw is going up and down from one side of the polarity or duality to the other. So I tell people this is not a 3D, and we're not moving to 5D. This is a 2D because it's one thing or another. Now, we first have to get in balance to where we're not reactive to one side or the other. You know, we have to, that's where we have to actually balance ourselves and pull ourselves out. Yesterday on the video, which would be April 29th, I talked about, you know, a medicine wheel, balance, your cheese, how, you know, and so you should really go back and listen to that if you haven't listened to it yet. So, you know, we could be, you have two thumb joints, male side, female side. This side of the brain deals with this side. This side of the brain deals with this side. Same thing with jaw. You got a left side and a right side. You've also got this other part, the higher world, the soul. The bottom part deals with the physical body and the physical world. So you got a lot of big play stuff going on there. Your hips, your hip joints. You got a male side and a female side, and we'll talk about that, and we'll get to that as we get closer to that. Okay, so you're going back and forth, even in your hips. I always like chiropractors. They're always like, here, put this thing in your shoe because you have one leg shorter than the other. No, dude, the pelvis is off, right? And it's because of usually, you know, multiple factors that have happened. And before the pain starts to evolve into that physical place in the body, it's been a long time coming. So there's a lot of levels and layers that have to be cleaned up as a result. So also I wanted to tell people that I put some stuff on, you know, I did a really big blog today, but I put a lot of really cool stuff on there that of people that I like and just, you know, things that I've come across. So at the end, you know, there's more videos and stuff like that to kind of help out with some of this thinking and where you want to go with some of the thinking. Okay, so let's talk about the hip joint. Okay, the hip joint is a synovial joint, which means that there's a fluid sac in there, right? That's what it is. Synovial fluid is a lubrication. So, you know, in your car, you have a, what's it called? You know, a shock absorber, right? And it has oil that comes out of it and it goes in and out, in and out. Okay, that's like the hip joint, right? Because it's a synovial joint. So you have a lubrication sac that helps to lubricate that joint. There's some interesting stuff about, you know, wherever we have synovial fluid sacs, we do not have any antibodies. Nothing goes there. This is why things like viruses, like arthritis, or other types of viruses can go into those areas and hide because there's nothing really to clean them up. So that's just how we were designed. Okay, so the hip joint is synovial joint formed by the articulation of the rounded head of the femur. The femur is the top of the joint that goes in with the synovial fluid sac into the pelvis, right? So you can see it right here. You get my little pointer so you can see it right here. Awesome. There's all kinds of military planes going over right now because Reno, you can kind of see the airport, so huge military planes flying low, which means they're landing one after another. Usually not a good sign. Okay, back to letting go. Cup-like, acebellum, of the pelvis. It forms a primary connection between the bones and the lower limbs and the axis skeleton of the trunk and the pelvis. Okay, so let's talk about, most of the time people have, issues in one joint. Or one of the things that I notice is that they have reflective pain. So it's the one side that's really off. I call it the hunch butt. It's where, all of the glute muscles on one side actually pull up into the lower back. And there's a lot of issues going on there, and the tailbone is like moved over. But a lot of it has to do with that hip joint being jacked up and pulled up. It needs to be pulled down. And in my practice, I have things that I use to pull that down. And sometimes it takes a period of time, to get that person to actually let go of all the layers, like an onion that they're holding on to, until we get to the factor. And then once we align it after we've, after the person is let go, and I help them through the onion layer as I work on them, so that we can get to the end of it and clean it up and fix it and it just be gone. So we can have a seesaw, one leg shorter than the other. I've seen people do things like fall down and actually change, what side's the high side, their seesaw, right? So say, for example, you're a guy, right? So you're going to operate a lot in the right side. Let's say like a regular average guy, and you're getting a divorce, right? Well, it's going to jack your whole physical world up and that whole male energy. So it's just going to like totally pull up on that right side, so much so it's going to tilt the sacrum, and it's going to push on those lower vertebrae, pushing them out. And so you're going to have severe back pain, because basically your foundation in the world is collapsing, right? So just kind of a thought about that. So if you have like hip pain, so your hip joints, your jaw joints, and your thumb joints all are significant, because it's all about letting go, right? And so in the hips, being off, not only physically off where they could be causing pain or one leg shorter than the other, we can have urinary problems, bladder problems. We can have IBS, or overly constipation, prostate problems, women problems, endometriosis is like in this category as well, because when your organ parts get shifted, then your body has to actually make new tissue, connective tissue, to hold those parts there. That's endometriosis. It's not a disease. It's an overgrowth of tissues, because the body shifted, and now the body has to hold those parts in a different way, so they have to actually create new tissue, right? Yeah, so infertility issues. I knew a lady who broke the same femur bone on the right side 3 times in different places. And she could have said, well, they don't really go together, right? They're not coincidental. Because one was in a car accident, one she fell down the stairs, and I forget how the other one I can't remember. But the bottom line is that it all was the same issue. Her parents had died when she was young, and there was just all the stuff that on so many different levels she just couldn't deal with, and she couldn't let go of, and she couldn't accept. She was walking in the world, using her hips, and the hips, were giving out. The right side of the femur of the physical world just kept giving out, kept having to break with the reality. So the body was constantly trying to break free, break free. And she spiritually, mentally, emotionally just couldn't, or energetically, do it. So her body, her physical body, had to endure a lot of breaking in order for her to pay attention and actually do some work and figure out what was going on. Okay, so your legs also have to deal with walking the path. And what I see a lot of people now is people are like kind of on the fence. They got one side on one side and one side on the other, and they can't make a decision. If you can't make a decision, your legs start to get turned out. And there's only so long you can go down your path, right? Until your legs are so far separated that it's actually breaking you in two, breaking you into on so many levels, and actually could be a physical break, could be a mental break, could be an emotional break. You know, you could have like a full-on nervous breakdown. Meanwhile, you know, the hips have a lot to do with money. The right side has a lot to do with, you know, jobs, colleagues, money, you know, this walking this path. So, you know, if you get too stretched out, everything's going to break apart. Everything's going to fall apart, right? And so your physical body is letting you know that you've reached the end of trying to buck up, hold it together, you know, make it work, and that you're going to have to like clean it up and straighten it out, on all the different levels, and peel the onion until you get to the center to finally resolve it. And all of that is in you. I can be a facilitator, to help you, lead you to you, but you inevitably have to do the work. All right. I forgot I was gonna, something else. I'll probably add it on to tomorrow's blog and tomorrow's video, because tomorrow we're going to be talking about carpal tunnel, which is also a problem with letting go, right? It's a big letting go problem. Okay, let's move on. I think I got that covered. All right, let's move on to the jaw joints. All right, so we have them here, or the TMJ joint. I get a lot of people in my practice that have a lot of migraine headaches because they have a lot of TMJ, but we're going to talk about the TMJ, and yeah, this is a serious, more so than ever, this is an emotional issue. And yeah, braces and a lot of other stuff, you know, plastic surgery, can do some major damage to this area, but this area has a lot to do with your throat chakra, communicating, you know, codependency, not communicating. So go back and look at the video I did on codependency. And, you know, other issues, not telling the truth, withholding the truth or information, peer pressure, insecurity, you know, a whole host of other issues. So I get a lot of people in my practice that have serious TMJ. Sometimes some of the people I'm working on can't even open their mouth, or can open their mouth only a little bit, and we have to like kind of unblock all that. But that's just serious blockage of you not even knowing, not even being in touch with your emotions. Like if you're angry, if you're upset, and, you know, in a healthy way, being able to communicate that. The only time that it gets a pressure valve out of the jaw is when you flip out, or you know, have a mental breakdown and you cry for days on end, or you scream at somebody or whatever else, which is not getting to the root of the problem. You're just being reactive, but the pressure has to be released. So TMJ. Okay, so let's see. The TMJ are the two joints connecting the jawbone to the skull. It is bilaterally synovial articulation. So what was that? It's a fluid sac, right, that helps to lubricate in there. Synovial fluid between the temporal bone and the skull above the mandible below. It is from these bones that its name is derived, right? So it's a pretty big joint. I mean, even though it doesn't really look so much, it has a lot going on. It's connecting to above. So your chin, let's talk about it spiritually. Your chin is below. The upper part of your head is above. What is above is below. What is below is above. But in this case, it's all blocked. So if you have any problems with your jaw, you have jaw aching, you have headaches, jaw tension, a lot of fatigue in your head, your below and above is not really in balance, right? And then you've got your right and your left side, right? So you've got your male stuff going on, and you've got your female stuff that's going on in there as well. So it gets kind of complicated. You know, we talk about becoming a unified being. There's so many parts to the machine that have to be unified, even the structure above all else, because none of the systems, at least in this part, the below, will work if the structure isn't repaired and the structure isn't in good shape. Okay, so Codependency No More is a great book. One of the things she talks about, is finding a statement that you can repeat over and over again to let go of whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're feeling, until you forget, what was going on. And, there's a kind of another funky thing, and we'll revisit this, when we start to hit the throat chakra period. But something I learned, I was kind of in this Kundalini ashram thingy with these women who'd studied with Yogi Bhajan like 30 years. I don't know, it's been like 45 years now, probably. And one of them had this really great practice. And it's getting really kind of gutturally, growly. And, it doesn't really sound super good, but it feels super good. And once you get over kind of the retardness and the stupidity of doing it, you'll start to do it more. And we're taught in society not to make sounds, like gestures and certain kind of movements. We're taught like not to, sit there and don't twitch, don't do anything. So our jaw is part of that conformity, because below is not aligning with above. All right, so we're just going to kind of do that. I'm going to do the here, let's go to stop sharing really quick. Okay, because I don't know if you can see me or not. And we're going to do this really quick thing. So mental, emotional, spiritual, energetically will cause the physical pain, the physical stuff that's going on within the major joints here of the jaw. And this is another area of letting go. If your jaw is too tight, or not tight enough, or it's popping a lot, or you have pain, you have some serious problems going on with your teeth. This is a lot to do with you not being able to utilize your own voice to protect yourself, to set boundaries, to even say positive things and be in a good state. Remember, the throat chakra has a lot to do with divine will, right? So throat chakra has a lot to do with this upper area above, divine will. This part has a lot to do with the my will of the third chakra. So you can see how this could get quite separated. In order to hold it together, we've got to tighten it. Okay, so this is just, and anger is like a huge one for people, when they're really withholding anger, their hips are tight, their thumbs are tight, their jaws are tight, when they're trying to hold things in and not let things out. Remember, nobody's ever going to give you permission to do your personal work. You have to make a decision to do that work as it comes up, and give yourself permission to, isolate yourself from other people and to tell them, what's going on. No, I can't help you right now. Is not a really good time for me because I'm doing my own work, right? Now, if I get freed up and I can help you, I'll call you and let you know, right? So it's about, letting people know as well, in a nonviolent, way of communicating, right? So we're going to do this kind of throat chakra, jaw kind of thing. So I just like to put my hands in my lap. And I'm going to take in a couple deep breaths, and I'm going to use my inner vision and my inner knowing and my inner feeling and my inner hearing. And I'm going to go to maybe an area of my body that may be, bothering me the most, right? So I'm going to touch base with, say, I don't know, I think probably my ankle on my right side, because it's been super itchy for like 2 or 3 days. So something going on in there. Could have some lymphatics that are draining. but it's been itchy. And sometimes I get blocked in the male side of my body. So anyway, we'll work with a couple spots. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to that area, and then I'm just going to kind of get a sense of like how it feels, like the energy, how the energy feels in that area. And then maybe I'm going to get a mental picture. Oh, so for me, it's itching to go. I'm ready and I'm itching to move forward. I'm itching to go. I'm itching to do something else, right? Because it's very physical world, the right side. It's male energy, right? So I'm like, ooh, that's a good thing. So how do I help it? You know, now that I've recognized that it's been bothering me kind of as a symptom. So how do I let go of that? Well, let's see. So I'm going to do like a gurgle growl. It's kind of fun, actually. So I'm going to get in touch with that energy, and I'm going to be like, that spot, and I'm going to gurgle growl it until, you know, I've got it balanced, using my jaw and my mouth to actually help me in healing instead of hinder me in healing and block energy coming in and out, right? Get it? Above, below, inside, and outside. Your voice has a lot to do in your breath with the inside and the outside. You being able to unify that. So instead of me walking it and not undetected and dilted and hiding it, I'm going to use my mouth and my jaw to actually heal and balance that energy area out, right? So it's going to sound like how it feels, how it comes out. And take breaths while you do it. And I know it sounds funky, but the more you kind of get in touch with different parts of your body and you kind of let that energy out in a way to balance it out, it actually feels really good. I think, you know, helps to bring some like primal stuff kind of back into the equation. And you know, I try to get away from that om and the and all that chanting. And I really like this format because it can just be what it is in the moment. Okay, so use that for healing. Okay, let's go back here and see what else we've got going on. Okay, sorry this is long. Okay, so now we're going to deal with the thumb joint. The three joints in the thumb differ markedly with the respective anatomy and function. Each contributes to its own atomic personality. And when functioning together, they allow the thumb to move with remarkable versatility and grace, yet with stability necessary to perform a wide variety of tasks. The carpometacarpal and interphalangeal joints allow for the thumb's mobility, while the metacarpal phalange joint provides stability. Thumb rotation primarily takes place at the CC joint, although the MP and the IP joints each contribute to a small amount of the pronation with flexion. So, you know, pronation is the front, right? And it's also kind of separate, but you also have the flex, right? The flexation. Okay, so let's talk about you know, this is a big place for letting go. So many people have so many problems with their thumb joints. They always think it's because of overwork. The deal is, like, most of the people that I've worked on that have carpal tunnel hate their job, or hate their family, or hate their relationship, or hate something that they're doing repetitively for long periods of time. And this causes pain in the thumbs, right? Because this is where you're actually going to be really holding on, right? Right? So you're like got a rope, you're holding on, you're like off the ground, you know, being swung, and you're like barely holding on to a thread. So in this area, it's really important to actually let go before you're holding on by a thread. Because most likely when that thread releases, there's not going to be much for you to actually hold on to anymore. And that means your whole life. And you're probably going to go into a full meltdown. And this is the other thing. What I'm trying to do is like trying to explain to you. So you start doing the work before it has to go south. You know, one of my native teachers always had a statement: you're going to do it the hard way, or you're going to do it the easy way. The hard way is like, you know, once the spirit world or the universe or however you want to look at it wants you to change, you knew that you needed to make that change, but you didn't want to make that change for whatever reason. So you're holding on. At some point or another, you're going to be forced to let go. You could have a major injury, you could have a major disease, you might get, you know, arthritis in your hands, so you can't actually hold anything anymore, right? So you can't actually do anything anymore because you don't want to let go, and you don't want to be led, and you don't want to be in the present moment, and you don't want to just go from A to B, B to C, C to D. And then what happens is when you're in a crisis, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, energetically, then you want to slingshot yourself from A to Z, you know, to the other side, right? You want this fix. There isn't going to be a fix. So when you start to notice like you have these problems going on in your body, it's probably going to be really important for you to start kind of getting in there and start figuring out where the center of that onion is, you know, layer after layer after layer. Does this mean you're going to have to step back from your life? Yes. In some cases, if you get a disease or a major injury, guess what? Your life that you had is over. Do you want it to go that far? Do you want it to go that far? To where now you're a victim because, you know, these things have happened to me, right? Instead of just listening and following in the present moment what you need to do next. Once you get it down, it's a lot easier than holding on. I mean, holding on is abusive, not only to yourself, but to others, to your body, to your mind, to your emotions, to God, to the Creator. It's abusive to the environment because, you know, you get consumed with this stuff. So, I mean, that's it. That's all you got, you know? Okay. So holding on, letting go. A really good thing to do is make sure that your hands are open. Like you can put them underneath your pillow. You know, if you're laying down and you're sleeping, make sure you're sitting. Monitor, you know, what your hands are doing. Pretty good indication of where you're at. How tight your anal retentive is, you know, is how tight your hand is when it doesn't even have a job. And it may take time to actually press it out. You know, sleep with it under your pillow or sleep with it kind of under your body so that it's open. Sometimes it can take quite a long time to reconfigure it because, you know, your muscles aren't used to being open anymore. They're used to being closed. So that's going to take some time in order to actually resolve. And hold on one second. I think I have Skype, which I need to like turn off right here. Okay. All right. So letting go. And, you know, a lot of anger, right? When you, especially a lot of people get stuff in their shoulders and, you know, it's all this anger, especially on the right side that you haven't dealt with, you know, you haven't released the pressure valve. So again, you can use that, you know, don't go over positively because then you're going to go unbalanced with the seesaw. So you're in the negative, you're on the bad side, you're not letting go, you got physical problems. And then you want to shoot up to the other side of the seesaw. And I'm going to be spiritual and I'm going to be positive. You know what? You're going to blow it way out of balance as well because dark and light, right? It's a seesaw. Neutral And balance is the middle and where you want to be to balance that seesaw. So don't go chanting Om and all that other stuff. Find other things to do. If you're angry and you can't let go, you can use your mouth to let the inside out as a healing tool, right? Healing tool. You can go up on a mountain and just scream. I've done that before. I've just thrown stuff, rocks around, and had a major full-on temper tantrum until I was done. And then I at least got through that tension period. I may have not gotten through another onion layer, but I got through a tension period without creating self-harm. Because when you have these tension periods and things are escalating because you're holding on, something's going to blow, and probably going to have to do with your body. You're probably going to get sick. You're going to have major pain. You're going to be debilitated. You're going to have emotional breakdown. It's completely and totally unnecessary. Right? So that's also passive aggressive behavior that you've learned. Be passive. Don't say anything. Be a doormat. Be a ding dong. Don't have an opinion. Low self-esteem or egotism, third chakra operation. So you're running this bipolar thing. And then on the extreme, you're like flipping out, throwing temper tantrums and screaming and yelling at people. Or you just are depressed and you lay in bed. So, I mean, you're not going to change the chemistry if you keep going through patterns like that. Balance and not seesawing is where you want to be with everything. Because whether you don't have a reaction or you are overreactive, that's bipolar, that's seesawing back and forth. That's totally inappropriate behavior that is damaging your mind, it's damaging your emotions, it's damaging your body, it's damaging your energetic system, and your body can't fix and repair itself because it's under attack. And it's you that's attacking it from just working and doing its job. It's a biological, organic machine. It doesn't really need all your, crap. So if you want to live a long time, you've got to let go and keep letting go until you get to the bottom. Could it take years? Hell yeah, it can take years until you find that one thing that I call the original sin. And once you get to that, boom, you release it and it's all game over. But it's going to take some time. You're going to probably need a lot of people to help. And that's one of the things I do is I do lifestyle coaching, shamanism coaching, health coaching. And, I bundle all this stuff together so that we work with your field, your whole field, unifying you from every aspect that there is. Okay. These are some things that I found on the internet, which you can read, and I'm going to head out. But, I've got emotional pain, letting go area, right? There's some stuff here. I told you some ways you can use your voice chakra, your voice energy to let the inside out in an appropriate way, gurgling and growling. Also to kind of get in touch with those areas and how they feel. Letting go of anger and bitterness, which is pretty cool as well. Some ideas on that. Mental pain, letting go, some things about that. Spiritually letting go, and then we kind of move into some really awesome videos. Alan Watts is like one of my all-time favorites. Eckhart Tolle, another one of my all-time favorites. Gangaji, another one of my all-time favorites. And then some setting yourself free, guided meditations that you can use on a daily basis. Try a lot of them, letting go ones. And I love Kelly with her meditation work. Kelly Howell, she's fantastic. I love her voice. You can buy her CDs. You can find her on YouTube. But yeah, so we've got some subliminal letting go programming and meditation with music. Some of it has hemi-sync to actually help your brain as well. And yeah, I hope you use them and try them because these are going to be some really helpful tools as well. All right. So anyway, sometimes you have to fake it till you make it, which means you have to do it even though you have no idea why you're doing it, or it just seems like crazy to you or doesn't make any sense. Sometimes you just got to fake it till you make it, right? And that's just how you're going to lead yourself, you know, one step at a time. And this is so funny. I'm having to deal with my storage shed, and it's a mess, my medicine storage shed with all my herbs and stuff in it. And I got there and I looked at it and I just feel so overwhelmed. And I just heard this voice say, put one step in front of the other, you know, and soon you'll be walking out the door, you know. And I just was like, okay, I'm just going to take as many steps as I can here today. And then I'm going to leave. And then I'm going to keep coming back until, you know, I have the issue resolved, like it's clean and organized and all those things that I need it to be. So, you know, work with yourself. Don't stop, you know, doing the things that you need to do, but, you know, don't be like, okay, you have to have this done in 2 hours and it has to be completed. You know, sometimes things in life are never completed. And sometimes it's a daily, every day that you have to work with it because it is part of your life. And there is no getting rid of it, right? It's more like working with it and working with yourself, and just being in the present moment. All right, gone on long enough. Anyway, have a great day, and we're going to work on carpal tunnel tomorrow. So thank you so much for helping me and supporting me and watching these videos. And I really hope that you're getting stuff out of them because I just love doing them, and I'll keep to my 20 minutes in the future. Okay, thanks so much.